Appreciate being here today and appreciate the opportunity to present the Iris story to hopefully a new group of investors. Um, with that, I'll jump right in here. Iris Metals, not new to the critical mineral space. We've been here operating in the United States for almost 4 years now, uh, primarily and early focus on lithium in the Black Hills of South Dakota. So we've since then expanded that into a variety of other minerals associated with the LCT pegmatites in South Dakota, most notably rubidium, which we have high-grade rubidium. More about that as I move forward here. And then just recently, and hopefully closing very soon, with a earn-in agreement on the Finley Basin tungsten project in Montana. So building out a portfolio of a variety of critical minerals, ones that are direly needed, not only within the world, but also the U.S. economy. And perhaps a little bit different in that we're not a purely just an exploration story. Our Beecher project, as well as our Ingersoll project in South Dakota, are both permitted for operations. And we are currently pursuing a DSO production strategy in 2026. Currently have a couple of samples and discussions go out and discussions going on with potential purchasers of that DSO, and really trying to push that forward this year to generate some revenue for the company and really facilitate some of the additional exploration work we would like to do as we grow our portfolio here in the U.S. Um, I will move somewhat quickly here because I know time's a little constrained, but definitely appreciate everybody hanging on for the end. From a corporate perspective, normally wouldn't touch on this too deeply, other than we just had news earlier this week, in that Chris Evans, most recently and still currently of Winsome, is joining as chairman of Iris, in addition to Tal Paneth moving off the board. Tal is still our largest shareholder and very supportive in everything that we do, but trying to create a little bit leaner organization as we move forward and really pursue a lot of the activities that we have going on here in the United States, to both explore and develop our critical minerals portfolio, as well as move into revenue generating activities with DSO production in South Dakota. The other thing to note there, probably cash on hand. We are fully funded for our activities this year, having raised that in the earliest of 2026. Uh, Here at Iris, we look at a variety of metals. As I noted, lithium was a primary target early for the company, looking at spodumene-bearing pegmatites in the Black Hills of South Dakota. Those pegmatites were the same pegmatites that fueled the World War II industrial buildup, and laid dormant relatively since that time. We're now having the opportunity to come in as brownfield developers, if you will, to help bring those projects back online. But within those, we have lithium, rubidium, cesium, tantalum, and beryllium. So an entire suite of critical minerals that are relatively important now within the economies of the world. Additionally, being here in the United States is I think, a pretty favorable advantage for us, given that a lot of these commodities are controlled in jurisdictions that perhaps are not as favorable for U.S. trade currently. Rubidium is something that has come on relatively recently in our portfolio based on some sampling results we saw in kind of mid to late 2025. Rubidium is something that is not produced in North America. Most of that comes out of lepidolite production from the Chinese processing, but is something that we're looking to capture here in North America. And I think we have a pretty well-defined path to do so. Looking at our Beecher project, this is our flagship project in South Dakota. The Beecher project is fully permitted. There's a picture of it over on the right-hand side. We have the ability to put that into production at any time we desire. We actually ran a test mining program last year in 2025, in part to collect a bulk sample, but also to demonstrate our ability to operate under the mine license that we have for that operation. The Beecher project carries a current resource of 2.2 million tons of 1.05 Li2O. We will be doing an update to that MRE that'll be published here in the next, I would say, 30 to 45 days. And in addition to lithium, it's also going to carry rubidium as a resource in there. I would also add that the original mineral resource of 2.2 million tons covered only one of three pegmatites on that project. So we're looking at a fairly sizable increase when we put out that revised MRE here in the near term. As noted, the Beecher project provides us a relatively quick path towards DSO production. It is fully permitted. We have the ability to go out there and operate at any time. And we believe that we would be looking at somewhere between 100 to 300,000 tons of DSO production, potentially in 2026. As noted, though, we're still working with potential buyers, trying to find that right relationship for us moving forward to develop that. That's our short-term strategy. Long-term strategy is going to be the full downstream processing chain, hopefully here within the United States. Why we have worked with ReElement in the past and still have an MOU with them. We are also working with a group called Rock Zero. That is an MIT spinout based in Massachusetts. They have some relatively interesting processing technology that's already been well demonstrated. They are a DOE grant recipient, and in fact, we are putting an application with them as a commercial sponsor for an additional DOE grant for them to actually test our ores at a larger scale than what they've done in the past. So looking forward to getting that going here during 2026. As noted, we have demonstrated our mining ability. As you see there in the photo, free dig, in-pit crushing, relatively easy to get that material to market. We have significant infrastructure in the Black Hills, power, road, labor, water, rail, everything that we need to be able to get this material to market relatively quickly and to be able to really build up this operation in a very rapid sense. We believe that as soon as we have a contract signed for DSO sales, that we could have material to deliver in probably around 60 days. Beyond the Beecher project in the Black Hills, we have a number of other very interesting projects. The three primary projects, Tin Mountain, Edison, and Ingersoll, we have all drilled across the last 2 years. Tin Mountain is a very, I should say, spectacular megacrystic pegmatite with spodumene the size of large tree trunks within there. Very interesting. The place also where we first noted high-grade rubidium in our drill results there. Tin Mountain being as unique as it is from a chemistry standpoint, it also has high-grade cesium, lithium, rubidium, tantalum, beryllium. I mean, it carries the full suite of critical minerals at grades that are potentially economic in one deposit. So very interesting for us. Obviously, a little bit of a processing to work out with that. But we already have what we believe to be a viable processing chain for lithium and rubidium to be developed out of that. And we're working towards the others as we speak right now. We will have an MRE on Tin Mountain that covers lithium and rubidium that, like Beecher, will come out, say, in the next 45 days. So looking forward to putting that out on the market. I think what you've seen in the past from us with the 2.2 million tons at Beecher, we're basically going from one pegmatite to four pegmatites with the publication of the Beecher update and the Tin Mountain MRE in the very near term. We've also been advancing our Ingersoll project that was acquired in 2026. That is also a permitted mine. Perhaps not as stripped and ready to go as the Beecher project, but it is fully permitted. We could go in and start that process any day we chose. There are 5 project or 5 pegmatites on that project. And we are currently doing and working through a lot of underground sampling with some interesting exposures, not just of lithium, but also of beryllium and tantalum mineralization there. Our Edison project, another, this is just a really unique district with a lot of history to it. The Edison project was actually owned by Thomas Edison in the past, one of the original developers of that project. Um, we drilled that in Q3 of 25. Very interesting results. It is a more complex project than, say, Tin Mountain or Beecher, which are large, massive pegmatite blows. The Edison is more of a dike and sill complex. We learned a lot with our drilling in 2025, and we'll be looking to get back around to that here probably in the latter part of 2026 to do some additional drilling there. It should be noted that, before we had success at Tin Mountain and Beecher, Edison was believed to be one of the highest grade lithium mines in the Black Hills. We've surpassed that, but that doesn't take away from the Edison project and what that is as well. And then beyond that, for regional scale, in addition to these private land projects that we have at Beecher, Tin Mountain, Ingersoll, and Edison, we have over 11,000 hectares of mineral rights, federal unpatented claims in the Black Hills. We've completed large-scale mapping, soil sampling, done some airborne geophysics, and are working towards exploration permitting on a number of very interesting targets across that land package as we go in and really pass through 2026. I think that for us, cornering a DSO sales contract will really kickstart some of the exploration that we have on that land package. Just real quick, for those not familiar with rubidium, it's not one of those big flagship, if you will, critical minerals, but very critical, no pun intended there, across a variety of very high-tech applications for both defense and research. Um, Things like timekeeping for GPS navigation is all rubidium based. It's not a massive market from a tonnage perspective, but it doesn't take a whole lot to really make an economic impact on your project, as rubidium derivatives currently sell for roughly $1,200 dollars per kilogram. So you can imagine, given that we have intercepts exceeding 0.5%, how quickly a few tons of that material adds up to some significant in-ground value. Finley Basin. So this was or we are currently wrapping up the earn-in agreement, I should say, for the Finley Basin tungsten project. This is located in Montana. It was previously explored by Union Carbide in the late 70s and early 80s. Union Carbide then tabled this as they had other issues globally that prevented them from further exploring in the Western US. Before they walked away from that project, it did have a 850,000 ton, so just shy of 1 million tons of 0.68 percent grade. So this was already well known as one of the highest grade tungsten resources in the United States before we went out and pursued this. We're able to come to some pretty favorable terms around this. Are finalizing that paperwork. I expect to have that paperwork signed any day now for the earn-in agreement. In parallel with that, though, we've already been working on our plan of operations for the U.S. Forest Service, and we'll have that turned around and submitted to them almost immediately after closing on the farm-in agreement. Our target is to drill this project in the back half of this summer, so July, August of 2026, with the intent to recreate that Union Carbide resource as well as expand upon it. We believe that there is significant upside to this project, given that Union Carbide developed that 850,000 ton resource on 10 drill holes. So we'll be advancing that, I think, relatively quickly to a much larger scale. In addition to the skarn that has been drilled for that resource, There are numerous other targets that we have airborne geophysical data for that project and are included in this land package that we are acquiring, which we will be advancing permits on for exploration drilling in relatively rapid succession as we move through the next, I would say, 18 months. Very excited about this project. Very excited about adding tungsten into our portfolio. And I think over the next, say, 6 to 12 months, you'll see some additional movements in the tungsten space for Iris Metals. I'm not going to touch too hard on tungsten. I think people understand this market perhaps a little bit more than, say, rubidium. But after you go through the critical minerals list, rare earth elements sit at the top. Right after that is tungsten. It has very significant defense applications. The U.S. has no tungsten production. And if you've seen any news recently, you understand how much the U.S. probably utilizes tungsten. Like everybody else, developing and or exploring and developing projects here in the United States, we are pursuing government funding and developing relationships not only in the Department of War, but also in the Department of Energy. We've had several high discussions at high levels and interest in the rubidium at our Beecher project and our other projects in the South Hill in the Black Hills of South Dakota, and are advancing those discussions. We've also, as noted earlier, are pursuing DOE grants with Rock Zero for lithium production to basically demonstrate a mine to battery level processing chain wholly within the United States, which doesn't exist right now.
And we're really at the end there. If you can just wrap up the key milestones for us.
Yeah, sure. So I think I kind of hit on most of these. One is going to be the MREs that we put out both for the Beecher project, which is going to be an update to the lithium MRE and a maiden rubidium MRE. We will have our maiden lithium and rubidium MRE for Tin Mountain. Those will all come out, as I noted, in the next 45 days. We are advancing our processing and ore sorting studies for lithium and rubidium. And I think really as we get to the back part of this year, it's going to be all about tungsten and the Finley Basin exploration drilling program. And then in parallel with that, we've got this DSO operation. We are ready to put that in. We are pursuing contracts, and we think something is imminent there for which we can deliver relatively quickly material to market. So I think you'll see that we have a variety of very exciting news to come through. We are not just exploration. We are not just development. We will hopefully be in production in 2026 and utilizing that capital to push along our other exploration interests across the U.S. as we build a very robust critical minerals portfolio.
Thanks, Matt. And I think the key there, which we'll all be looking forward to, is when you get into DSO production and you start bringing cash in, which is always a great re-rating catalyst for a junior miner. So we'll look forward to that. So. Yeah, that'll be a great announcement for you. Thank you very much for joining us from way over there and taking the time out to address the audience today. Thanks to everybody that joined in.